Welcome to module number three. I hope you did your homework for module number two, and yeah, let us continue. Let us go into module number three. So we begin with a meme as usual. So somebody here in the meme is speaking to what looks like their therapist, and the person is saying, "My brain thinks it's 2019 and 2028 at the same time," and she's asking what seems to be the problem. Yes, he's stuck in the future and stuck in the past at the same time. Okay, let us continue. So yeah, module number three, we're going to be discussing psychological time. Psychological time. Time in the mind creates suffering. Awareness brings freedom, right? So on the left side here, we can see if you're caught in psychological time, the mind lives in the past or the future. Past in the mind could be regret, guilt, shame, stories, identity that you just bring with you from your past and you haven't properly released it, right? You haven't properly dealt with it. Let's continue. A future in the mind. This can look like worry, anxiety, fear, expectations, control. Let's go to the right side. Freedom in the present moment. So this is the breaking free from the psychological time, right? Freedom in the present moment. Real life happens now. The power of now. Clarity, peace, presence, acceptance, aliveness. Next, what's happening now? You're breathing now. There's sensations now. There's songs now. There's sight now. There's life now. Right? And the quote in the middle it says, real real time is now. Psychological time is the mind traveling in thought. Right? And let me just briefly mention, right, with regards to releasing like any type of traumatic things, what research has found is that like if let's say you were scolded by your teacher in front of the classroom and you're humiliated, maybe the teacher didn't meant it, and then suddenly the class started laughing, and it felt like very humiliating, or maybe a sibling of yours did something very humiliating, and the people in your home started laughing and you were forced to like repress your emotions, right? Now, what the research has found, having an outlet to be able to vent, to process it in a more safer environment, especially the one with your teacher, because you can't necessarily respond to your teacher as you like. There's a certain power dynamic there that teachers need to maintain to maintain respect and order in their classroom. So this may force you to repress some amount of emotions, right? And what research has found is being able to process it or express it or vent it in a later, safer environment, it can actually lower tension from within the body. So this is part of what is being discussed here about not being overly stuck in the past, and to try to like be in a constant mindset about being aware of how but we are gonna go through this later in the course. But let me just briefly say, being aware with how anybody who violates your boundaries now, the amount of repression you allow to happen, and if it's a lot, and these things vary from situation to situation. But then how are you gonna go about dealing with it? The ideal thing here would be like if you're gonna go home and have a dinner with your family, when there's like hopefully no technology and you're just eating some dinner at the dinner table, maybe like the 1 hour rule with no technology, then you could say something like, by the way, guys, something weird happened today or something weird happened yesterday. And then you talk, and that is a safe environment. You're able to vent and process it, right? So that's the ideal. It doesn't always work like that. You might end up being you on the phone with a friend, or you speaking to your therapist, or whatever the case might be. But we want to process it so that we don't let the past stick with us into the present moment, right? So let's see else what it says here. Going back to the chart, thought, time in the mind, emotional reaction, distorted perception, suffering and dissatisfaction, and repeating the cycle. So this is the cycle, how psychological time works. I see the key insight is psychological time is useful for planning and learning, but when the mind lives in it constantly, it creates suffering. Freedom comes when you return to the only real moment that exists. This one, this moment right now. Return to the now. So I probably should have finished the module. Finish this part by saying that. The next part says you can't stop thoughts, but you can stop believing every thought. Yeah, let's continue. Okay, so here we see life situation versus life, right? So your life situation exists in time, the past, the future, regret, stress, identity, expectations, what if, worries, comparison, plans. Your life situation is mind stuff, not real. In contrast with your life is now, your life is real, right? Presence, awareness, experience, aliveness, reality. Now, yes, these things like what if, worries, comparison, and left side of your plans, the consequences or the rewards to them can absolutely be real. And within this course, we're going to discuss like the best ways to deal with them, so that as much as possible you can deal with them and have plans in place for them, but then to be centered on reality, centered on this moment, and to be able to just lock in and just be here. Okay, so the left side, it says the situation is in your mind. Life is happening right now. The right side, it says you can't always control your situation, but you can always return to now. Absolutely. Let's continue. Okay, the roots of negativity: too much time in the past or future, not enough presence. Right. So on the left side, we see too much past, not enough presence. The right side, we see too much future, not enough presence. Right. So same thing as before, and we're seeing in the middle there presence, the power of now. Now this moment is real, right? The quote there says, "All negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence." This is a quote from the book The Power of Now. So, this is a big one in regards to forgiving anyone that may have wronged you, right? We forgive, right? So that we release that tension from within us. Otherwise, someone may have wronged us many years ago and then we don't forgive them, and every single moment of every single day we're carrying that tension with us versus just forgiving and releasing it. Now there is a video that's going to be later discussed in this course that's going to like teach you the boundaries with forgiveness. For example, you can still forgive somebody but also be smart about how you interact with them, right? Especially if they did something very bad. You don't want to put yourself in a situation for them to do something very bad again. But of course, this is context to context, it's different, right? So it's not like a one rule for everyone. Okay, let's continue. At the bottom it says past memory, it's over, let it go. Presence is equal life, it's happening, be here. The future equals imagination, it's not here, don't live there. Do not live there, right? Um, so yeah, for a long time I've lived in the future, until I got this information and I experimented with it myself, and then it started to come back like right here. Let's continue. So yeah, let's look at the red light metaphor. Yeah, a red light metaphor, same situation, two different inner experiences, right? The left side we see suffering. This person here is resisting what is. They're at a red light, but they're thinking this is taking too long. Yeah, this is taking too long. I hate this. Why is this happening to me? I should be somewhere else. I'm probably giving honk my horn so that I can get here as fast as possible. This creates stress and tension, drains your energy, and makes time feel slower, and it adds unnecessary suffering. You can't always control the red light, right? Um, on the right side, we see not suffering and a surrender to what is. The person is thinking, red light, this is now, I'll use this moment. Now, this creates peace and ease. It preserves your energy. It makes time feel neutral or faster, and it accepts reality and moves with life. Accept reality and move with life. That will be one of the fundamental key and tenet for this course. Accepting reality and moving with life, right? To know firmly what's in my control, what's not in my control, and also big picture is like understanding all of the parts of the board, understanding what's in your control, and then potentially moving the parts to properly suit you so that you're well positioned for you, the individual, to live your best life. And also make smart, continuous choices that are in your best interests, right? Let's continue. At the end, it says, but you can always control your response to it. Yeah. So the bottom it says you can't always control the red light because you literally cannot control the red light, right? But you can always control your response to it. Let's continue. Okay. The end of psychological time is the realization that life is only ever experienced now, and that most human suffering comes from mentally living somewhere else, right? Yeah. And so unfortunately it is an epidemic. It's like it's something that we're all dealing with, and it's because to me as a result of technology, right? So let's continue though. And yeah, so mentally living somewhere else, regret, worry, anxiety, resentment, guilt, future fears, right? Living in the past or future, misses what is happening now, creates suffering, feels heavy and exhausting, right? On the right side now we see living in the now, presence, life is happening right now, peace, you stop fighting reality, clarity, you see life clearly, freedom, you're no longer trapped in your mind, joy, you experience life as it is. Now, living in the moment, experiences life as it is, brings peace and joy, it feels light and alive, right? And the three big picture ideas at the bottom is number one is this is not just an idea, this is something you can achieve. Come back now, live your life. Absolutely, absolutely. So, but we're only on module three, and it's 14 modules, right? So, and you'll find, like for example, with me when I was doing the training initially, I didn't fully understand like how things connected, but only at the end did I say, wait, and I feel myself being pulled away from the present moment, and I realized, okay, this is why I learned this. This is why I learned this. This is, and all these different this. It's a good solid like maybe 9 to 13 things. And so once you have it, then you'll just lock into the moment. You're able to understand what's going on um, as you interact with different things. As you plan your day, as you plan your week, your schedule. So in any event, let's continue. So yeah, in summary for module number three, without changing or doing anything, simply being aware of this and the understanding of the visual as it matches with the reality, you are so much further ahead than the average person that never slowed down enough to see or understand this. Yeah. So this course is really just we're slowing down, we're pausing, and we're looking at what's going on. Like when we choose to make our day play video games, some people would choose to ride the top of a subway, and there's for whatever and we're gonna go into it because pros and cons. There's pros and cons to it, especially as we're discussing in this course as it relates to internal emotional regulation and the benefits that come with it. Because when anyone were to ride the top of a subway, they're forcing the past and the future to submit, surrender, come into the moment, come into now. But this is a forced way to do it, and this course is to show you the other way to do it, the safer way to do it, the more effective way to do it, the more consistent way to do it, and the way for you to callous your mind so that you can do it as you like, anytime you like. Just like you see people smoking marijuana, vaping, smoking cigarettes, they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. It's just because nobody ever trained them or taught them how to tap into the now, tap into the moment, come back to now, how to deal with the past, how to deal with the future. They're regulating their emotions constantly when they're smoking or when they're vaping. And you don't need to do that because you're going to be trained on how to do it. And you also don't need to go on top of a subway for those reasons, right? Let's continue. The end of psychological time is the realization that life is only ever experienced now, and most human suffering comes from mentally living somewhere else. Okay, homework. Oh wow, there's homework for this module 3 as well. I remember making a course, there wasn't supposed to be a lot of homework. In any event though, the homeworks are very important, and please don't think everything here is very important, well positioned, right? To create a big picture at the end of all of the 14 modules, including the homework. So the homework for module number 3, listen to one video from Ben Lionel Scott, right? YouTube or Spotify. It's a motivational speech channel. In its entirety, it should be 3 to 20 minutes long. And comment or email me to let me know what you think. Very important. This is very important. So let me continue. Okay, this is the end of module number 3. I'll see you in module number 4.